Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Torchwood. Last time around we watched episode 1, Everything Changes. What was that one about?
A young police officer discovers something weird going on in Cardiff, and she trails Captain Jack Harkness back to the Torchwood HQ, where we find out that we knew the one in London had been destroyed, and there's two others.
Yeah.
But anyway, he basically explains the whole thing. Turns out one of his companions was not doing what they were supposed to be doing, and I can't remember exactly what happened at the end there. But essentially, he said, "Hey, if you'd like to join us, or this is what we're all about." And I think, if I recall correctly, she said yes.
Yeah. One of the people there, Susie, was using she wanted to learn more about the glove that brings people back for like 2 minutes from the dead. So she was killing people in order to use the glove. And basically, at the end, Gwen was saying, you could be helping people, and Jack basically said, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we could do more good than just testing some alien stuff, basically. So, that's pretty much where we left off. We are moving on today to episode 2 in our grand tour of Torchwood, and
which apparently everyone in the comments thinks that it's very weird that Alex would be showing this to his 73-year-old father.
Yes, but you have to remember, this is going to be hilarious, I think. I hope it's going to be as funny as I think it is. So,
and again, for those of you who only know me from this channel, please be aware, I am a fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I've directed the stage version twice. What else can I say about that? I mean, I grew up in the 60s, so there's pretty much nothing I haven't seen or heard. I don't know that there's anything that could actually embarrass me, other than if you're embarrassed for Alex sitting next to an old man while he's watching this. Just be aware. That's just who I am.
Yeah, so I don't know. This should at least be interesting. And this is really this is kind of the only episode that we're going to watch that isn't really, like, I guess a good episode of Torchwood. But it is an infamous episode of Torchwood. And after this, we're going to be watching more of the good episodes. We're going to come back in a couple weeks, and we're going to watch episode 6. So we're going to skip ahead to that one. Ideally, we will watch the episodes in between off camera. I don't know when, but we'll try to figure that out. So we do still watch all these episodes, and then at the beginning of episode 6, we'll just do a quick, couple minutes. I mean, we ramble in these intros anyway. So we'll take that rambling and we'll turn it into just quickly giving thoughts over the episodes we don't record. So for those of you, because there are some people that are like, oh, you should watch this episode or this episode or this episode. Technically, we are going to watch every episode, but we're only going to record certain episodes because I can't be bothered to record every episode of Torchwood. So, anyway. So that's pretty much that. Do we have anything else before we go into this one?
No, one more random thing you may have noticed. I'm kind of scratching today. I don't know why. It's very dry today. My skin feels very dry, and both my elbows are itching, so ignore that if you can.
Yeah, so with that, let's jump right into episode 2 of Torchwood. Here we go.
Traveling that fast, it should be a sonic boom.
What was that? Another happy landing.
Now, is Chibnall the one that took over for Davis?
He took over after Moffat.
Oh.
I completely forgot that he wrote this episode.
this. We can tap into CCTV networks, national databases.
Is this crimming? This is the police computer system. You shouldn't have this.
Might want to stop saying you and start saying we.
Shit. The amateurs got in first.
All right, usual formation.
What's the usual formation?
Varies.
How can the usual formation vary?
The usual formation is just to look cool.
It's a shame your tool's not big enough for the job. Darling, catch.
Shit. Holy fuck. Put this on.
I'm sure it's fine.
Everything's fine. How are you?
Oh no.
I've been in once. I only come out to make a call.
There's no readmission. Okay then. On you go.
No. I've also been a bouncer in 2 different places
Watch and learn, boys.
in my youth. Nothing like that ever happened, though.
I don't think I can hold on. Okay. Go. Yes. Yo.
You know, get this on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Jeez! And then he exploded.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just gas, wasn't it? Can't be too bad, can it?
Right, because gas never did anyone any harm.
Now, the place where I was a bouncer the first time, again, not really a nightclub like that. It was a restaurant and bar. The second one was just a beer garden.
Hi.
The question is, how did you know this used to be a body?
Come on, sir. With you all the way.
That is a
Bit of a shock.
mix of chemicals.
We need to see that CCTV.
And again.
Wow.
My God. He just...
Came and went.
We'll need a body from the crowd chamber, close match to the dead guy's appearance. Disfigure the face, dump it someplace remote, make it look like a suicide attempt.
You have a stash of bodies.
Well, you never know when you might need them.
What about his family? You can't just fake his death.
You want to tell his family he died screwing an alien?
We don't know
Meh.
that for sure. So what's this supposed to do?
I'm using satellite tracking data to determine the inward trajectory of the meteorite.
He means he's trying to find out where it's come from.
Hey, sometimes a little technobabble is good for the soul.
So this is like a route planner. Not far off. You have a boyfriend? Yeah. Have you? I don't have time with this job.
Good to know.
What about you? You seeing anyone?
You gotta be joking. I can get all the grief I need here.
None of you have partners?
Just you, newbie.
I'm not being rude or anything, but... Well, maybe I am, but... How do you switch off from all this stuff? What do you do to relax?
Relax.
Eh.
This cross-checks their face with the UK population. You can't have every face in the UK on there. That would be against civil liberties, data protection, all that stuff.
Still doing that you instead of we thing?
So it's not hungry all the time.
Well, it's got a cool down period. Got to recharge, drink a Gatorade.
All right, that's enough. Joke over. Barry's put you up to this, is he?
Shut up!
Just going home, put your trousers on and get out. No!
Different. I'd get out of there.
It always breaks my heart to say those words.
Air quality's okay.
Wait, look out!
How did this happen? Oh. Ray shields.
Cover this.
Ghostbusters.
Meh.
But you can help me. I don't know what I'm doing.
Usually better if you don't say that in front of the prisoner.
Shades of Silence of the Lambs.
You broke my ship. Come on then. Where are you from and why are you trying to invade Earth? Because you can forget about enslaving us.
Meh.
Is it anything about enslaving? Well, that's what you lot do. Aliens. Isn't it? No.
Some of them are nice.
The energy. The climax. I live off that energy. Right, sorry, just to recap. You've travelled here to feed off orgasmic energy. There's nothing else out there like it. Help me. Please, get it out of me. Caris.
You fell for it, fool.
Well,
Wow.
you said she had a boyfriend.
You people in your quaint little categories.
We should really get her out of there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, come on.
Go.
Just, we're cool with it. First,
Oh my gosh. This place is weird.
Jesus.
We should be helping her. She's not some lab rat.
No, she's a murderer. You were the one who wanted her caught. How come suddenly she's your best friend?
You know, strictly speaking, throttling the staff is my job. So, who's for Chinese?
This man always walks in with good stuff.
We're banking on you.
You're a copper. You're trained to ask questions.
You don't know anything.
Not who he is, not where he's from. Nothing. Except him being gay.
No, he's not. Really, do you think? No. Owen does. I don't.
And I don't care.
Period military is not the dress code of a straight man.
I think it suits him. What are we doing having Chinese while a girl fights for her life?
Actually, while we've been
First order of business, survival.
Full bioscan on Karis.
Caris Fletcher, born 13th of November 1987. School reports, personnel files from a temping agency, swimming badges from when she was 6, reports of her mother's death in a car crash when she was 10, and last year's emails discussing the relative merits of Orlando Bloom and Heath Ledger.
Why have you done this?
Sex pheromones. 1,000 times more potent than anything we'd normally experience.
She's a walking aphrodisiac.
I did wonder why I... Actually, I sort of snogged.
We know. Now, still want to put her father in the cell?
God, no, we can't let any man near... Oh, Owen.
Oh, good job.
Thankful she was only interested in your sweat card. Are you alright now? Or are you still feeling a bit of a cock?
Yeah, you want a little rough and tumble, huh? Well, let's make it a fair fight.
Oh my gosh.
Now, is this the alien or is this her?
Yes.
Because you say a normal girl would not know how to use all this.
Stop me.
Put it down! That's worthless to anyone but me!
That's like a terrible thing to say.
Or I'll shoot!
Oh. Jeez. Either that elevator is really slow or he's really fast.
Now give me the jar.
Yeah, it's twitching.
A lot of aerial photography.
Yeah.
Get your old pals in the police to do something useful for once.
All right, I'll give them a call. Put out an APB. Woman possessed by gas knobbing fellas to death.
Boy, the heart rate triples. The brain swells, pressing against the skull. As that keeps going, the lungs begin to shrink, making it impossible to breathe. The pressure increases on all the internal organs until...
Ugh.
rat jam.
We have to think like her. Put ourselves in her place.
Yes, the most sexual place on
It's the only
earth.
way to find her.
Cardiff.
Except we don't know what her controlling impulse is by now.
Do you love me, Eddie? Did you ever love me?
No.
You could have saved yourself.
What?
The line from The Lion in Winter. Did you ever love me? No. That will make this easier.
Tosh was right, though. She went for the ex-boyfriend. Lucky she's young. Work your way through my back catalog. We'll be here till the sun explodes.
So where's she gonna go next?
So what's our next move?
Stop the entire city of Cardiff from shagging?
Put bromide in the water supply.
No, too hit and miss.
Yeah, and the water company got really pissed off the last time we did that.
Could have used any body in Cardiff.
Sperm donors. An unlimited supply of orgasmic energy without all the build-up.
Perfect hit.
It's a bit cheeky.
Mr. Tunstall, room number 1's ready now.
Sorry to leave, gentlemen. I have work to do. Man, he's good.
I'm asking for you to get out.
Just relax, I can help.
I don't think so, love. I'm gay.
You really want to feel something?
Oh, it's gotta be awkward.
Imagine the buzz you get from the rest.
Yeah, he doesn't die,
Wasn't
so...
exactly the reaction I anticipated.
Her body won't last much longer.
Ray shields.
Thank you.
Man, this really meant something. So you're gonna give them a bit of that memory stuff from last episode, right?
Still here?
What are you doing here?
Go home, Gwen Cooper. Eat lasagna. Kiss your boyfriend. Be normal. For me.
Let's go to bed.
Alrighty.
Alright, so either they have a drone or a helicopter.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm noticing a whole lot of external aerial photography of Cardiff.
Well, yeah.
They kind of set that up in the first episode with the guy who was using the sex pheromone.
Yeah, Owen was using that,
Yeah.
so... Yeah, honestly, that's... I mean, it is one of the worst episodes of Torchwood, but... it's...
I mean,
It definitely wants to let the audience know
yes.
we're not Doctor Who. We are for the grown-ups. And for an episode about that is fine.
Yeah. Now, one thing that puzzled me at first is you have this girl who looks to be in her early 20s. Very, very, I don't want to say ordinary or plain, but just a normal girl. But the first time we see her, she's got on, the slinky dress, and she's got her hair all done up. She's got the makeup. It's like I literally almost did not recognize her from her first incarnation, the club girl, to this what appears to be basically a schoolgirl.
Well, yeah.
So that was kind of jarring for me. Again, the rest of it, yes, it's they were making a definite statement here of saying, if you love Doctor Who, this ain't it.
Yeah.
No, and again, I think they're trying to connect to a different audience. Again, I understand, having gone through 4 or 5 years with you here now, there may be a completely different image of me from the people who watch us. But, again, I was a teenager in the late 60s. I was in college in the 70s. Again, I've done a lot more stuff than the average person would think of. So, what I saw there, it's not offensive. Like you said, I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Again, there's obvious references to Ghostbusters and this, that, and the other thing, but it was fun. There's nothing special.
Well, yeah.
But it was fun.
It's an interesting thing watching this again, because the premise of it is they're trying too hard. They're trying too hard. Like, okay, we need to really sell that this isn't Doctor Who, and in doing so, it's like, yes, I don't know if you need to be doing this on television in general, but no, you can't do this on Doctor Who. Very good, Now,
again, this is sort of thing when streaming services first became available. I mean, this is way back in the 80s, HBO, Cinemax. Oh, there was another one too. There were 3, and they would show things that you could not show on network television. Now, of course, with Netflix and all the pluses and everything, it's common fare. I mean, let's face it, even Disney is getting, not quite as graphic as this, but Disney's getting into stuff like this.
Yeah. So,
again, I don't see what the fuss would have been about. If people understood from the very first episode that this was going to be a little more graphic, the language was worse, and this one, exploding rats, things like that, that's what you signed up for. After the first episode, if you didn't like what was going on there, you would have never gone on to this one. If you thought the first episode was fine, this one is not out of your comfort zone.
I guess it's the debate of what is acceptable, which is interesting that we're kind of getting into the philosophical debates about what you can show in TV and movies and stuff like that. But I remember, like, when, this is gonna sound weird, but when Oppenheimer came out, and there were people that were like, there's like a full sex scene in it, and then you watch the movie and it's like, where? I mean, there's a scene where he's like sitting naked in a chair, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Did you need to put that in? It's like, I don't know, but it's just like, I mean, otherwise it's like, whatever. It's just a scene in the movie, and it's like, and it's just the thing of like, really, that's the part that's like, I don't know. It almost feels like you need to invent a controversy around Oppenheimer. I don't know, but it's just like, I don't know. It's fine. You watch it and you move on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like 10 years ago they put out Deadpool. Like which was basically this if it was dumber, and it's just like, it's just I don't know. And like, I guess this came out in 2006. It's like, okay, well, was there anything else on that was doing stuff like this, especially with this premise of, which is an insanely stupid premise of, alien gas creature takes over girl to have sex with men because it lives off of orgasmic energy.
Yeah.
And my only thought is, well, I guess the universe is big enough. Eventually you might find something like that. And it's It's kind of funny because at first, when I started to remember all of that, I thought, we just watched Gridlock in Doctor Who. And in that, it has creatures that feed off of the exhaust fumes from all the cars and stuff. And I thought, I guess it's a similar concept. It's just feeding off of something that a living creature would generally not feed off of. It's just also a bit crass. I don't know. It's just like...
Well, I mean, we've seen episodes of other science fiction series where, the creatures feed off of fear. Some of them, feed off of salt. There was one in the original series of Star Trek where this entity fed off of the hatred between the Klingons and the humans, and ultimately they decided that the only way to defeat it was to simply not show hatred. And I realize that goes back to the 60s, and on 60s television you couldn't have seen anything like this, but there were movies in the 60s that were like this. The Best Picture winner of 1969 was Midnight Cowboy, the first X-rated film to win an Academy Award for Best Picture. So for this to come out in 2006 should not have stirred any controversy, other than from the dyed-in-the-wool Doctor Who fans who thought, But again, this as much as it's a spin-off of Doctor Who, it has nothing to do with Doctor Who, other than the character of Jack Harkness. Nobody knows about the Doctor.
Yeah.
There's no reference to it at all. So, again, if you're a Doctor Who fan, after that first episode, if you decided to stay on, then you should be good. There should be no controversy, in my opinion.
Quite honestly, you can skip all the spin-offs of Doctor Who, and you're really not missing anything. Like, we could have completely skipped Torchwood, and there's not much that will come back in Doctor Who that they won't just explain anyway, and then you can just watch it and it'll be fine. I don't know, you could easily watch it, and it's been a debate in my head for 6 months on whether or not we would do Torchwood, just because I didn't know, I really just don't have the time to do all of Torchwood.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing a tour, but I don't know. It is such a strange thing, because the only thing I can think is, if you were a family in 2005 that started watching Christopher Eccleston with your little kids, and then you watched David Tennant, and then you're going in and it's okay, now we've got the new season with David Tennant, and now they have a spin-off called Torchwood. Maybe we can watch that. But at the same time, because the UK specifically has the watershed rule, and that, and you're choosing to watch Torchwood anyway, it's that's the only thing I can think is if you've got the little 6th, 7th graders,
yeah,
and then you put this episode on, and it's oh, geez, we can't be watching this. The kids can't be watching this. But then I don't know. I think at the end of the day, the most controversy, though, is just people just don't care for this episode. I think that's the long and short of it, more than the alien sex gas stuff, is just they just don't care for the episode. So,
well, I mean, yeah, neither of these two episodes have I thought that the writing was brilliant or anything, but it's intriguing, it's interesting.
Yeah,
I would continue watching it.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, just so that I can get this out of the way, Alex and his brother have been watching movies with his mother and me for years and years and years. And I remember that your mother was very worried when we put on one of our favorite movies, which was called Midnight Run, and it's literally one of the greatest buddy movies, but every third word is an F-bomb. And the language is just incredibly bad. But we put that on, knowing that our boys had probably heard this, in the schoolyard or wherever. And I think you both enjoyed it, Aside from the foul language, it was a great story. So as long as you've got a great story, the rest of this stuff should be secondary. If it fits with the theme of the series, with the plot of that particular episode, there's no problem. If it's gratuitous, yes, I understand that. You look at that and go, that was absolutely not necessary. But, the whole point of this episode was you have an alien that lives off a very specific form of energy, and you have to find a way to stop it without killing the human being whose body it has possessed.
Yeah. I think, where everyone was saying, you're not going to show him day one. You're not going to show him that episode. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do that because that's funny. But I think, even though we've been doing this for years and years now, I think what everyone was thinking of was their 70-year-old dad. Not mine. Their 70-year-old dad, who was 70 years old 40 years ago, and is of a different mindset, and maybe a good heavens type, But you're not that.
No.
The fact that you open this episode saying you've directed the Rocky Horror Show, like that, it kind of quells that. And watching this again, it's like the premise is goofy, but honestly, it didn't like go as crazy as I really remember it being. Yeah. And the good thing, we can actually talk about the good thing that's in this episode is, I guess, Gwen's arc through this episode. Yeah. I thought was really interesting, and doing more of what they set up last episode of Torchwood can help, and kind of actually get out there and not just be under the street testing these weird alien things. Actually get out there, and Gwen provides this real good human element, and that honestly is very Doctor Who. Yeah. Like her dynamic with not only Owen and Tosh, but especially with Jack. It's like this is very much a doctor and companion kind of deal. It's kind of it kind of is like how the Sherlock show is kind of like that, which was created in part by Stephen Moffat. So it's like it's that kind of just dynamic that they've cultivated, in the 2000s and the 2010s, and that is definitely on display here. And it works that it's like we literally just had an episode of Doctor Who with Martha saying, who are you? You never tell me all of these anything about you, and that was basically what happened here. Is they're like, we don't really know anything about Jack. We don't know who he is. We've tried looking him up, but he just doesn't exist, and so they were hoping that Gwen would be able to get a few more answers out of him because she's a cop. And so that's all really interesting, and like going in and figuring out who is Karis. She's not just some nameless victim. Basically, she's a real person, and maybe you can use the details of her life to figure out where she's going to end up going next. Yeah. So, which that did work. She ended up going to her boyfriend, killed him, and then she went to work, where she happened to work at a fertility clinic, the worst possible place for this alien to go. There was a very large body count in this episode, actually. There was a good 6 or 7 guys that died. Yeah. So,
you can continue. I was just going to say, we mentioned the Rocky Horror Show, and I know that in the last couple of years I've talked about going on stage. I haven't been on stage in a long while, but where I play characters like Colonel Francis Chesney, just great salt of the earth, wonderful older man character. But you have to understand, having been in theater as long as I have played some really horrible people. Not the least of which was I played Jack Gurney in The Ruling Class by Peter Barnes. He is a psychotic killer. I played Andrew Wyke in Sleuth, who is a killer. You have to play these characters. So in order to play them, you have to have, I don't want to say certain empathy for them, but you have to understand their motivations. Again, I have directed. The second year I directed the Rocky Horror Show, right after it opened, I went to a different theater and directed Godspell, which is based on it's a musical based on the Gospel according to St. Matthew. So yeah, there's all sorts of levels to my career, and I'm able to do that because there's all sorts of levels to me.
Yeah. So, but with this episode, watching it again, I think too, because it's like it definitely hits you with the shock of like, oh my god, they're actually doing this on television. because it's the 1-2 punch of not only did this guy explode in more ways than one, really, but then it's like, okay, well, how did the guy know that, you know, there's like a little pile of dust, and Jack is like, well, how did you know that used to be a body? Cut to him watching that on the cameras and exploding himself, trying to get himself to explode. And it's just that like 1-2 punch of like, oh my gosh, this really isn't Doctor Who. But then after that, it's like, okay, we have that premise. Now we kind of move on. They make a couple jokes every so often of like, well, Gwen was, you know, persuaded by her pheromones for a second. Then when they're like, you know, we can't put any men down there. Oh my God, Owen. And they go down there. He's just standing there. He doesn't have his clothes. He's handcuffed. And, it's, you know, so there's a little moments like that. But then the rest of the episode really does focus on, you know, Gwen trying to figure things out and, you know, changing Torchwood, basically.
Yeah.
So there is some good stuff in there. Definitely. And honestly, it's like, I don't think it's the worst episode of Torchwood. Honestly, there's not too many episodes that are just bad, you know? And because like with Doctor Who, there's not really many in Modern Who that are just bad. The closest, I think, would have been like, you know, Fear Her and Love and Monsters, and even, you know, watching those again, it's like, they're fine, you know? Yeah. Love and Monsters was actually better than I remember it. So it's just like, I don't think we're going to get too many of those. And even still, there's a couple episodes specifically in season 1 that I can think of, but those aren't going to be the ones that we're going to film. Yeah. So we're generally just going to film all the really good ones. Speaking of which, is the next episode that we will record in a couple weeks. We'll do episode 6, which is called Countryside. So,
okay.
And between that, again, I don't know when, but we will try to watch episodes 3, 4, and 5 off camera. We'll give a quick details if there's anything that stuck out in those episodes at the top of the next video. And yeah, and we'll just go through. There is another episode that I don't have on the schedule to record. It's I think it's episode 10 of this season. I didn't remember it at all, but then I've seen a couple people that are like, oh, you should watch that, was a really good episode. I was like, oh, I don't know. It's because what I have it as is we've had these 2 episodes, then the next one we'll do is episode 6, and then I think after that what I have is doing the 2-part finale, which we would just do those 2 weeks back to back, basically. But maybe I can try and fit in episode 10. I don't know. And then we'll move on to season 2 after that. So, but we'll figure it out somehow, and we'll get it all done, and then somehow we'll watch season 3, which the only way to watch season 3, it's 5 episodes, but the only way to watch it is just to watch all of season 3. So I don't know how we'll figure out how to do that too. But anyway, you got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then that is basically it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Ed from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for Torchwood. It's my run of Torchwood and his run of Torchwood. I just decided to reuse the playlist. There's also another playlist with all the Doctor Who reactions, as well as a Patreon button and a subscribe button. Maybe they're flipped, I don't know where. You can go click on any of those. See you guys later.